Good morning, welcome to Morning Review. This is Kim speaking on, goodness, is it that day already? Wednesday, the 23rd of November. So, looking at the euro dollar first, and yesterday, well, we held on to its previous day's gains. It's still heading towards its weekly pivot and has the potential of getting up there. A bit of a bitty old chart really that we're seeing on a shorter time, well, a shorter time 4 hourly chart to the right of the screen here, quite bitty. If it can break this 34 at some point, well, as I say, could be up at that weekly pivot, but it's not the clearest of charts when you come down to the hourlies and you actually see the clarity or lack of clarity that we're looking at here, with large periods of hardly any price action at all. So, as I say, really for me, a break of maybe these highs here between the here and here now, this current candle, could see us on for the weekly pivot, R1 weekly pivot sort of territory. So would be watching for that. Okay, sorry, I'll just come back to that actually. On the other hand, of course, selling off, well, it's not clear in terms of the downside so much now. Yesterday, to me, it looked, I looked at this later on in the afternoon, I could see potential for a continuation to the downside, particularly towards the late afternoon there, and of course it sold off, but then rebounded straight after. Now that's effectively left, well, a bit more doubt about the downside, but there's still the potential for this to continue in the original route. Okay, cable, well, it's in a daily wedge on the using the daily 50 there, and the lows across here, it's in a bit of a wedge, and it too is starting to get a little bit well, choppy in a sense in terms of lows, highs. Not the clearest of markets at the moment, particularly looking across into this hourly time frame. We came, well, we've been all over the monthly pivot, and it's got the daily pivot above us if it starts getting the push on, but likewise if it starts selling off, it wouldn't be too hard to get back down to the sort of S1 territory. I'd like to see it above the 21s if it starts pushing to the upside there as well, so just a few bits there. At the moment, looking from yesterday's price action, I'd be erring more towards the bearish side, but if it breaks these short-term highs, well, then it's putting possibly finish that move down there, maybe wanting further upside anyway, but it has got a lot of resistance with the 50, the daily pivot, and the 34 all gathering together. Okay, dollar yen. Dollar yen, well, it's hanging in there up there. I expected more of a downside move on Monday, but it wasn't to be. Yesterday seems to have found that it got down. One thing I was looking for on Monday was the 21, 4-hourly 21 to be hit, and then the pivot. Well, the 21 got hit yesterday, and we saw a bounce off that. Now, further movement to the downside, again, still looking at a weekly pivot as potential, but and the fact that we're already outside the R3, but it's with the dollar, the pound hanging around about flat. This is doing pretty much similar picture, and you can see on the 60-minute here a bit clearer. There is potential, of course, it could take off. The original trend was certainly up before it started stalling. Maybe if we see it breaking beyond these this trend line here from these prior highs, we could be pushing up back towards those highs and maybe into the daily L1. It's already it walked out. There was a trend line across here which it basically stepped out of. Maybe the more recent lows here may give us a clue to the downside, but I'd watch this carefully. It could just sort of step itself out of this one as well. Okay, Aussie dollar. So the Aussie dollar's finding itself bouncing again, pushing up pretty well. and continuing, well, it's back towards its daily 8 again now. It caught the weekly pivot, which I was looking for at the earlier part of the week. That's been done. Daily 8's almost hit there. Could be on for more towards the 4-hourly 50 now. We're getting so close. It's always a funny old story with the Aussie dollar. It seems to be moving a lot better when nothing else moves, and then when everything else moves, it fails. But at the moment, it's putting in a series of higher lows, higher highs, and erring, if anything, towards the bullish side. It is already up to its daily R2, though, which may hold it back a little bit, and could end up with some consolidation around this phase. A break, well, to the downside, looking at downside targets, has got its daily pivot below us, and there is the potential for it to get down there. But at the moment, I think it's reasonably big ask. I'd rather be on the longer side of it. Canadian dollar, well, it's confirmed its lower high in here. I was talking about this on Monday as well, and it's continued to push a little bit on Monday. Yesterday, a bit of a bounce off, well, back towards that 21, but again, I'm still erring towards a bit more correction with the price of oil pushing up. Expecting a bit more of a correction on the Canadian dollar here. It's rather slow. Yesterday's price action really messed things up somewhat here, so looking at it purely on its intermediate time frame, well, it starts breaking off through these highs here. It could be pushing up. A break of that 34 really would see me looking for the Audi 34 would probably see me looking for yesterday's lows, the S1 sort of area. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. News-wise today, just waiting for my news event to open up here. There it goes. And, well, we got the flash services, manufacturing services figures out this morning, 8:30 from France, then Germany at 8:30. The 9 o'clock figures, they're never much because the French and German are the powerhouses of Europe in terms of these manufacturing data and services data. So we'll see how they come out. They're never biggish movers, but they can create 10 to 20 pip moves. Leading on from that, we've got the autumn forecast statement coming out at 12:30 for the UK, so it will be interesting to see what the updates would come through from that. And then beyond that, we've got the US core durable goods, a bit volatile. A bit of data. It's not always particularly easy to read. The core durables are always the best to read, but it itself often only gives relatively modest moves. So that's pretty much it. Right down to the crude oil inventories we'll be looking for, but then the FOMC minutes at 7 o'clock this evening will probably give more guidance to the actual feelings and what was said at the last FOMC meeting ahead of the December meeting. Okay, that's it. Have a great one. Bye for now.